Boom! We are live. Welcome to the show, Fujifilm and Chill. I'm just gonna give it 2 minutes just to make sure that everyone is here, they're with us, and we can start the entertainment, the discussion. Give me a like if you can hear me loud and clear. Welcome to Fujifilm and Chill. If it's your first time on a live stream with me, this is just basically a cool little hangout, time to ask questions, discuss anything Fujifilm, camera related, even just general life and chit chat. So, welcome and let me know how the audio. So yes, just waiting a few more minutes for people to roll in and then we can start the discussions. What's up? Bad habit, how you doing, man? What's happening? How's life treating you? Is everything alright? I feel like there's a slight delay with this thing. I'm not too sure, not 200%. So I'm still trying to get the gist of this whole live stream stuff, but me and Chloe just did a test and we found that we've tried to sync up the audio, sync up, the audio with the visuals and make sure that everything's nice and clear, nice and crisp. So yeah, let me know how's it looking. Cool. Just give it a few more minutes for people to join and then we can start a nice discussion. Gotta make sure that you're hydrated. Oh man, that went down the wrong hole. Went down the wrong hole. Oh man. Don't worry, I do not have the COVID. No COVID over here, don't worry. Alright, so, how's everyone doing? What's happening in your life? Any questions that you guys might have? This is going to be a little hangout, a little chill out session. Anything Fujifilm related, let me know. Be good to have a little chit chat and all that. I was actually thinking maybe we could discuss a new lens, perhaps. So I was thinking perhaps we could discuss about the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 because right now I'm not able to do a full review about it, but maybe if you guys have any questions about it, we can talk about it in this live stream. Let me know if that's of interest to you guys. How does that sound if we talk about the new Viltrox 85mm f1.8? Let me know. If you just give me a little feedback right in the comments. If you'd like to write in the comment section below, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm actually just going to go and get some lenses quickly. Man's back in that. Got some lenses and stuff. Other than the Sigma 18 to 35, is that also will be good for the X-T4? I would say yes. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be good for the X-T4. I think a lot of people have this like obviously due to the number setup, the way the hierarchy works, it's you have an X-T3 and an X-T4 is like the next edition of this series of cameras. You'd think that typically what tends to happen is you have a brand new sensor, brand new kind of innovation, but that's not always the case with upgrades. Some upgrades can actually just be functionality changes, a few little things that are different in function. With this particular upgrade, there ain't much of an upgrade apart from the functionality side of things. So your sensor, your quality of image, nothing much is really going to change. So whether you use the same lens you did before, that's not really going to make a difference. Ooh, the X-T4 flip screen versus the X-T3 flip screen. Now, I gotta say that I made a video on this about this before, and I'd highly recommend that you watch it. It's cool. X-T4, it's not X-T4 is not really an upgrade. Now, two different situations where this could work. For me personally, I shot on Canon before and it had a flip screen, and I thought I would be doing vlogging. That was what I initially thought was going to happen. Now, it turns out I'm not much of a vlogger. I tried it, I experimented, and the truth of the matter is it just wasn't working for me, but at least I tried it. So I would say it depends on the personality. I like to be behind the camera and get stuff, and if I like to have dialogue with the camera, the GoPro actually works a lot better for me. I find that I can be more authentic. I don't have to sit there, worry, and look at the screen and be like, oh crap, is my ND filter being annoying? Is there anything, like, oh crap, I'm on the wrong shutter speed? Like, you should just be focusing on you and your personality if you're in front of the camera. You shouldn't be having to worry about the camera settings too much. And I feel like, that flippy screen kind of distracts you. Having said that, I like to also do street photography, so it's a bit of a weird one. So I personally prefer the X-T3's screen, which flips this way, because when I do street photography, I like to get low on the ground and then literally have the camera touching the pavement, the ground, and then flipping this screen up to see what I'm actually shooting and what kind of how I'm composing my subject. So it's a bit of a weird one, and I know with the X-T3 that you also would need to get an external monitor if you wanted to film yourself. Now, that's obviously an extra cost. You have to get a HDMI cable. Not everyone wants to do that, but the other issue for me was IBIS, and with IBIS, I found that it didn't really work for my style of shooting. But I think if you're going to have a flippy screen and you're going to go down that route of filming yourself, IBIS is probably the best thing to have. So what Fujifilm has made as an option is definitely the right option for the right people. But for me personally, I'm just way more comfortable with this setup, and I just like to do street photography like this. For me, that just is a lot nicer. So that's the Fujifilm kind of flip screen conversation, if you will. I don't know, what is your thoughts and feelings? Tell me, Mr. Adalberto Torres. Could you please, I hope I pronounced that right. I'll just gonna stick with Torres. Torres is probably a safer bet. Do you even have an X-T3? That would be interesting to know, because then we could delve deeper into what do you find yourself using the X-T3 for. No pun intended. I mean, for as in what your activities you'll be using it for. So that would be an interesting one to know. But other than that, it'd be interesting to talk about this nifty little bloody lens, the Viltrox 85mm f1.8. Now, we've kind of been in lockdown for a while now, and I haven't been able to use this lens much, and I'm actually more excited to use it about video, because the autofocus on this is really, really damn good. but obviously with the lockdown and stuff, you can't really go out and shoot. I live in a one-bed apartment, so there's not much opportunity to shoot stuff indoors with this lens because I can only zoom into the other end of the room, so it's not really going to be that good for me. But Chloe earlier was shooting some pigeons, and the pigeons were cooing and basically mating, and she was able to get some fantastic shots of these. Not obviously the ideal or subject matter that we were expecting or looking for, but nevertheless, this lens was very cinematic for that purpose. So yeah, it was quite interesting. Also, we made it to 4K, which is quite cool on this channel. I've been at it for a while now, and I've just used this platform just to test and try things out and see, you know, number one, get good at making videos, get comfortable with making videos of myself on camera as well. So for me, this channel has always been a bit more of an experimental kind of place, safe place to kind of fail, if you will, and just try ideas out. And the fact that I've got 4K subscribers just from doing that, I'm really grateful. And the fact that you have people in this live stream watching, I'm really grateful for that as well. So just wanted to say thank you to you guys. And what else can we talk about other than 4K subscribers and obviously this lovely 85mm, which we've used for capturing birds mating on our little balcony. I don't know. Ha 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 ha, you pronounced it right. Actually, I'm in the market for a still camera. That would be my first. Okay, so your first objective is a still camera. My debate was between the X-T3 and X-T4. So your very first Fujifilm camera. Ah. That's tough, man. If you already had the X-T3, I would be like, just keep your X-T3. But because this is going to be your first Fujifilm camera, it kind of makes the decision a little bit harder, purely because the X-T4 will have a really improved battery life. The battery is completely redesigned, and from what I hear, a lot of people saying that you can shoot for a very long time with it. So it's a bit of a tricky one. I would say if you're just looking for a stills camera, the X-T3 is simple, light, and great, especially when you pair it up with a f2 lens. Oh, did I cut out? Why did I cut out for a bit? That's very strange. Let me just check the camera quickly. We seem to be live still. Everything seems to be okay. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, the X-T3 versus X-T4 for your first stills camera. Now, if you are going to be experimenting with video, it depends how serious you want to take video. The good thing with the X-T3 is, obviously I'm a bit biased, but I'm going to try and make it unbiased as possible. I mean, let's look at it from a pragmatic point of view. The X-T3 will be significantly less expensive. It's going to be way cheaper than the X-T4. So you have to consider that. For your first camera, you can get a brand new X-T3 for probably $500 to $600 cheaper. That will give you options to buy like 2-3 lenses if you really wanted to stretch it to that, or you can buy a one massive juicy lens that will last you for a very long time. And from my experience, the lens is actually more important, hence why I've got loads of lenses and less camera bodies. So yeah, definitely think about that. If you feel like you're going to film yourself, I would still go for the X-T4 because it's just a logical investment in that respect if you're going to be filming yourself. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. I don't want to linger on that too much. What else do we have here today? The Viltrox 33mm f1.4. Cost is $279 versus a Fujifilm XF lens. Well, Fujifilm doesn't have a 33mm, so that's going to be quite an interesting topic because, I don't know, like 35mm versus 33mm. What would 33mm be in 1.5 times crop anyway? Let me just give me 1 second. My maths is terrible, so I need to obviously evaluate this and just make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So 33 times 1.5, you're looking at still roughly 50 millimeters in full frame, so I don't know. And you can obviously get the 35 mil, 35 mil Fuji XC, I think. Yeah, the brand new XC lens is £169, but in dollars, what would that be in the dollar? In the dollar. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just doing a quick currency conversion because I don't know this stuff off the top of my head. So please forgive for I have sinned. So it's $200, $208. So I'd still go for the Fuji lens because number one, Fuji's made it a lot faster at autofocus, a lot cleaner image. Viltrox do make amazing products. This is the first lens which I think has brought them into the Fuji world and kind of made them popular now and everyone's excited. But I wouldn't just recommend them off as a company just for one lens. I'd want to give it a few more lenses first. So I think you're better off saving some money and still going with a Fuji lens. But if you really want the accurate millimeter per millimeter kind of lens, the 33mm, maybe you want to, you're not going to be disappointed, put it that way. But I'm just trying to help you and make sure that you'll be very happy with your decision. And it's kind of hard for me because I'm going off my experience and my knowledge for the past couple of years. Hopefully that answers your question. Would you rather live with having the Mitacon 0.95 or the 35 1.4? Oh, the Mitacon 35mm f 0.95. That lens is a sexy lens, so sexy. But if I had to live with that lens, and that's the only 35mm that I could use for Fuji, which is basically a 50mm. So you're saying that 50mm is the only 50mm I can have, and it's only manual focus. I do photography as a job, so having that manual focus lens for professional work, events, weddings, everything that's kind of fast-paced, it wouldn't really work for me. For me, the Mitacon's like a Sunday lens. It's like you take that out for a leisurely kind of shoot, or very specific shoots, very specific ones. 1 second. It's all good. Nothing important happened there. We can continue. Not a problem. But yeah, sorry. The 35mm 1.4 is definitely gonna be the one I have to keep because 1.4 is still gonna give you fantastic bokeh. Still gonna be a great lens to use. So, but damn, I kind of like having both. They're a good marriage. Especially if me and Chloe are shooting together. If she has maybe the 0.95 and I have the 1.4, it's quite a nice little duet. New to your channel, like your content. Will you go into computer hardware and software debate regarding your video editing? That's by JJ Warner. Warner or Warner? Please correct me in how I pronounce your name. Yes, most definitely, because I'm a Mac user. I've worked at Apple as well, and I've obviously seen the strengths and weaknesses of this operating system and the hardware. I'm a big fan of it, so obviously I'm biased, and the fact that I have connections to that company will obviously alter my decision, but I've recently got into gaming as well, with my girlfriend Chloe being into a lot of games. I've naturally got back into gaming, and the hardware and software that you choose for gaming also ties very much into video editing, because a lot of video editing softwares will use a lot of graphics cards, a lot of depending. I'm on Premiere Pro, so to give you an example about this topic, Premiere Pro is very CPU heavy, so it uses a lot of the computer internals to get the software going, and the issue with Macs sometimes is that they overheat quite a lot. then again, if you were to look at it from a whole different world, let's say we're looking at DaVinci Resolve and we're on Windows. Now it's a whole different set of issues and that's a whole different pros of, benefits that you can get. Number one, DaVinci relies mainly on graphics performance, graphic card performance. But the Windows ecosystem, that hardware, you're able to modify and add more things to it and spec up your hardware to the best for that kind of operating system. So I can definitely look into that. I think I'm probably going to talk about more of what I'm using right now and tell you the pros and cons of what I'm using, so that can probably gauge and help you make your decision better as well. So yeah, definitely something that I think I should get into more. And I would love to probably upgrade to the new MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, because I've got an eGPU to help with graphics card performance, and I haven't seen a video yet showing eGPU with the 16-inch MacBook Pro. On top of that, to stop my MacBook from overheating, like I said, Premiere Pro kind of uses a lot of CPU power, and then it overheats. I've kind of mitigated that whole issue by putting a laptop cooler underneath my laptop, so the overheating kind of is delayed. Usually when I export a few videos at once, or one after the other, by the second video the system starts choking up and it will say like, oh, you got 5 hours before your video exports. So, and that issue now is no longer there, purely because I've got a laptop cooler. So yeah, definitely gonna probably talk about those tips and tricks when it comes to software and hardware. Ricardo, Alicia, did you ever try the DOX Canon? Ooh. No, I haven't actually. Well, let me just look that up on Google right now. Photo DOX Canon. Ah, we're looking at an adapter. Okay. No, I haven't tried it actually. Is there one for Fuji though? I don't see one for let me just try. Canon to Fujifilm adapter? Yes, there is one. Okay. No, I haven't. I've actually seen this when I was researching for adapters, but no one has actually done a review on it yet, so I was not able to actually kind of put my money on that, because I haven't actually seen many reviews, so I wasn't able to make a logical or pragmatic decision about purchasing one of these. The best one on the market that I found was obviously the Fringer adapter Mark II. Make sure you get the Mark II version. And since trying it, I've been very, very happy. So I'm just going to stick with that because, number one, it was to get me into the Fujifilm system. Now that I'm into the Fujifilm system and I've got all the lenses, it's not really a priority for me to look into the adapters. Now, having said that, I know a lot of people have joined my channel, and one of the biggest videos of my channel is that me reviewing the Fringer adapter. So naturally, I might have to look into that so I can help more people out, because there's a lot more adapters on the market now, so we do need to investigate and see what's going on, and is there a better adapter out there? Maybe there's one that can increase the autofocus and make it super juicy and buttery. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. But yeah, I'm not gonna recommend the Photo Dio because online there's not anything great about it. So, but we'll definitely have to look into more. Clovinder Chia, native 35 1.4 Brad. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. Exactly. Also depends what you're upgrading from. I'm coming from the X-T20 with 5 lenses. The upgrade to the X-T4 is a no-brainer for me to do hybrid shooting. Yeah, Rob, I'm going to have to agree with you. If you're coming from an X-T20 and you jump to an X-T4, you're going to be very happy. You're going to be so bloody happy. And especially for hybrid shooting, because it's one package. Everything's all there, ready to go. You don't have to fiddle with it too much. So yeah, definitely would recommend X-T4 for a all-in-one package solution. Like I said, I'm someone that specializes in a bit more of a niche, so having the flexibility to tweak my X-T3 to what I want works better for me. But if I wanted something that I couldn't really add more gear to and I wanted it to work, gonna have to be the X-T4. Mika. I hope I'm saying her name right. Mika Yamanaka. And the photo-dio adapter works fine, just no electronic connections. So Mika has just informed everyone that it works fine, but there's no electronic connection. So stuff like image stabilization from a Canon lenses, which Canon lenses image stabilization are actually really good. So I would say if you're gonna get an adapter, get one that's damn good and it's not gonna cut you short, because you'll get excited, you'll get inspired, you'll get very motivated to make some cool projects, and then you realize that your adapter is not gonna help you fulfill your project. So definitely do a bit more research, and I would encourage you to find an adapter which can really transfer over all the benefits from that lens. So if it's a Canon, like Canon lenses are really damn good, and we still keep some just because they really are that good. And you want to make sure you can pull all the benefits from those lenses. So yeah, thank you, Mika. That's really helpful to know. Chris Gronau, I hope I'm saying that. Like, guys, please forgive if the name pronunciation is not there. Hey, Hvris, Hvris. I just bought the X-T3 and I have a question about slow motion. Is there an easy way to quickly switch from 4K 30 frames per second to 4K 60 frames per second? Ooh. You know what? I actually just literally switch it on. I'm in video. I click the menu button. It takes you straight away to movie mode. And all I do is I just go there and I just select it. It is a bit of a pain, because with some cameras you can have custom settings where you can automatically switch to another frame rate and everything's already there for you. But I'm a bit of a weird one. I like to manually select things just so I have full control. So unfortunately, I'm probably not the best person to ask, because that's not something that I was looking for and not something that I cared about. But I know it's definitely a valid question. And for example, on Canon, you have like 3 custom settings. You have custom 1, 2, and 3. And you can obviously just change one frame rate to another frame rate in those custom settings. And I feel like you can definitely do that with the Fuji, because you do have options in the quick menu to have custom settings. So maybe try that out and see if it works. In terms of frame rates, I usually just shoot in 25 frames per second, basically 24, but UK version. And then I'll have the D-pad, and on the bottom D-pad, I don't know if I can bring it up here. So like, let me see. There's no memory card right now, but the bottom D-pad would give me my high speed frame rates. That's what I do. So a click of a button, just pressing that D-pad button down will take me to 100 frames per second. And for me, if I'm out vlogging, doing an interview, but I want to get B-roll at the same time, just being able to switch from talking head 25 frames per second to 100 frames per second with the D-pad have been really useful for me, and I've enjoyed that. So maybe that could be a solution for you in the meantime. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Bad habit. I bought my X-T3 a month ago, and COVID-19 hits the US. Haven't had a chance to really use it yet. Yeah, man, it sucks. Like I said, I'm in a similar situation with the Viltrox 85mm 1.8, and I really want to use this lens, but obviously you can watch 100 videos of people saying to you like, yeah, you can do photography at home, but it's just not the same now, is it really? Like, let's be honest, it's okay to just feel a bit frustrated, because photography is about capturing moments and going out there and having fun. For me, I got into photography because it was therapeutic. It gave me a bigger reason to go out for a walk, a bigger reason to go out and stretch my legs and have a therapeutic walk. Actually, my favorite pastime ever is to be alone, go for a walk, listen to music or an audiobook, and just do street photography, because you're getting exercise, breath of fresh air. I'm doing casual, candid street photography at my own pace, and I get to listen to an audiobook, so I can develop my mind a bit more, maybe learn something new, maybe listen to something about philosophy or something completely irrelevant to photography. And then also at the same time, you know, these three things all at once. That's my favorite thing to do. Can I do that at home? Not as easy, but then again, the flip side to this would be that this is an opportunity. With these, usually with limitations, new things happen, and you can definitely get fruits of this kind of labor. So, being at home, maybe if you have a family member that's really into cooking, just try it out. Like, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to take great food photography photos. Challenge yourself to take the best pet photos you've ever taken in your life. There's definitely going to be something at home which is very boring and mundane, but you can turn it into something really artistic and do a series on that. And I feel like a lot of people will be doing that, but who will actually do great ones? That's yet to be determined. So, and plus the XT30 is tiny. So if you have a family member that, you know, they're okay with being part of a project, this will definitely help turn them into someone that's comfortable into being a project with you, because it looks like a film camera, and a family member who's not really comfortable in front of being a camera. By the end of this whole quarantine process, you probably inspired someone to get into modeling, maybe inspired a family member or someone to maybe help you out more with photography, maybe become a partner and build something great together. You don't know how these things play out, but challenges and limitations definitely have their rewards. Like, I didn't have gimbals or anything, so me learning how to make handheld videos without much or with no money made this YouTube channel happen. So there's definitely things that can happen despite it sucking. So yeah, definitely try to make it work, man. Like, it's okay for it to suck, but it can definitely have benefits too. I don't know how to say that name, man. QTAIBA. Kataba? Raw. I will stick with Raw, Mr. Raw. Mr. Raw, I will purchase the XT4, and I need one lens. Should I get the Sigma 18-35 1.8 or the kit lens version? That depends, my friend, on how much money you're willing to spend. Now, the kit lens I haven't personally used, but the reviews have been so consistent that everyone says that this is not a kit lens. It is a bloody good lens. So, depending on your budget and how you feel about it, I mean, the Sigma is a big boy. It's a bloody big boy. And I only use it for certain occasions. That would be probably a talking head YouTube video where I have a tripod set up, maybe a wedding where it's an important event and I want to make sure I have the best glass available to me to capture this event. Or I don't use it at all because it's quite big, but the results are amazing. Now, if this is going to be your first camera, you're going to be shooting with it every single day. You want to take it everywhere you go. So, in that respect, I think the kit lens might be better for you because you're going to be able to make this camera accessible for whatever you want it to be. Now, I don't know where you are in the world, but majority of the world is kind of quarantined right now, so granted that maybe right now you're not going to be able to venture out much, so having the Sigma would be okay, but I still think that what makes Fujifilm so great is that the lenses are tiny, right? So having tiny lenses is what makes this whole ecosystem fun because it opens up new doors and opportunities. So then again, I would still say have the kit lens because you could obviously do a few jobs, make some money, then get the Sigma 18-35 for like your corporate or professional work. I'm assuming that you got into photography or video because you want to make some money, right? So, because people don't buy the Sigma 18-35 for, 18-35 to sit on the shelf. That lens is a workhorse. People use that to get jobs done. So I would say definitely get the kit lens for now. Make a bit more cash. Get the Sigma 18-35 because that you can get secondhand for a good price on eBay and stuff. And yeah, I've got another comment saying that the kit lens is a great lens. So definitely go for the kit lens. That was very long-winded. Yeah. I need to have a water break. Next question. Do you ever shoot tethered? I'm trying to find a good wireless tethered option because the app is pretty bad. Never use the app. Rule number 1 of tethered shooting, no app. Don't use the app. It is absolutely terrible. It's not reliable. I found that even if I was doing video and I just put single point focus, it wouldn't be able to export out or spit out the 4K resolution that I was looking for. So rule out the app altogether. And in terms of tethered shooting, are you talking about tethered as in photos, right? I imagine we're talking about photo because I think the cable's probably the best way to go for now. Get a good 2 meter, 3 meter cable and start with that for now, because tether systems, number 1, they can obviously get interfered depending on where you are. Number 2, they're quite expensive rather than a wire. And but then again, maybe you need to give me a bit more, purple belt, you need to give me a bit more info. But I'm assuming that you want tethered because you're planning to make some money, make some cash, get a bit of the good stuff, and maybe you think wireless solutions going to be helping you out. In that case, definitely look at some reviews on YouTube, but personally, I don't do tethered shooting much. If I am with a client and I have just done a studio shoot, I would usually get my external monitor, plug in the external monitor into the camera, and then show them the photos, and then go through the photos and kind of like star them. Or get the memory card, boop, plug it into Lightroom, import everything straight away, and we star them together. So when I go back home, I just immediately get straight to editing. There's no selection process, and that helps the client out because they are rest assured knowing that I'm going to deliver the right photo that they wanted to begin with. So for architecture, okay. So in that case, I think a wired will be fine. Yeah, I think wired would be fine, but it is a pain in the butt. So, but yeah, with architecture, you can't really, it's really hard because with architecture, you need to look at straight lines and make sure that nothing's kind of wobbly. It's not as, you can't be lazy with architecture. You can't be like, I can just fix that in post, because fixing lines in architecture is hard, man. When I started off in photography, I started off with interior photography. So I know that you can't screw that one up. So maybe look for a good wireless system if that's what you need. Yeah, these are some really good questions. I just want to take a moment for gratitude and appreciation to say that these are some banging questions, and I'm having a good time right now, and we'll move on to the next one. Oh man, same thing for me. Walk, audio, book, mental switch off. Yeah, man. It really helps chill me out and gets me focused, and you just come home with a beautiful catalogue of photos. You've learned something new with the book you've read, and you went for a walk, you got fresh air, and you got some exercise. For me, walking has been the best exercise of my life, so I really enjoy it. And the kit lens is great, yep. Also, Kaiba. Oh, is it named Kaiba? Did I just probably get it right off the bat now? If you get the X-T4 with the 18-55 kit lens, you get the IBIS plus lens stabilization, some cropping, but it should be a good option. He is absolutely right. You will get the IBIS integrated with that lens much better than you would with the 18-35, because it also comes with IS, so you'll have that dual stabilization. Now, I have said before that I'm not a fan of IBIS, and that's purely because for the work that I do, IBIS is kind of gets in the way of what I want to achieve, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to handheld video. I don't want the camera to choose what will wobble and what will not wobble. That's a lot of wobbling in too many sentences. But you get where I'm coming from. I want to choose how the camera will move and where it will flip and turn. With IBIS, you only have two options. You either keep it still and it will keep it dead still for you, which is absolutely perfect, or if you're just doing really simple movements or a bit of walking, it will look acceptable and it will look much better than if it was handheld, without any rigs or stabilizer or any kind of technique. So yeah, definitely I could definitely say the X-T4 with the dual IS would be alright. I need, yep, already got that. Yeah, so X-T4 guys, what do you guys think about it? What's your opinion? Who has actually tried one yet? Because we saw a lot of YouTubers trying the X-T4 and they had to give it back after like 2-3 days. And it got me very curious. So before this whole lockdown happened, I was very lucky to get into a Fujifilm House of Photography store in Covent Garden, London. So in London we do have a Fujifilm store. And I got to try one out and it was really fun. It wasn't big as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like an XH1. As soon as I picked up an XH1 before I purchased an XT3, I was immediately like, what's the point? I wanted to get away from DSLR, so XT3 was a really nice fit for me. But the XT4 was not too big. It was literally just the groove that felt a bit deep, a bit longer. It was a bit more... How's the best way to show you guys? Yeah. This thing right here, the grip, was a bit more elongated. So I have to say I really enjoyed what they did with that. But flippy screen was a good flippy screen. There's some flippy screens out there which are really bad. And I have to say the flippy screen was good. But the IBIS, I wasn't convinced. I actually have a video test from the Fujifilm House of Photography store. I put my memory card in and tried to like do some handheld movements and stuff, and it was alright, but it wasn't really for me. I think Alps Lifey has a video where he talks about the X-T4 and he shows you that House of Photography sample. Now the issue with those are it's obviously a sample because those are pre-production models with pre-production firmware, but IBIS is mechanical, it's not software driven. Obviously software can help to kind of change or fix a few things here and there, but nothing major can be done, let's put it that way. And we're two people that are very serious about filmmaking, so we didn't want to have the IBIS. But if you're someone that wants to get into video, just starting out, you don't have much gear with you, and neither do you want to carry much gear with you, IBIS is going to be a great solution. Oh, I just blacked out again. That's really, really strange. Ooh. Are we okay? Yeah, we're fine. Don't worry. We're bloody good. X-T4 is an upgraded X-T3. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. You have a new battery. You have a new little things going on. So yeah, definitely an upgraded X-T3 because the guts of it is still going to be an X-T3. There's so many rumors online saying that the X-T3 is going to have a firmware update with all the new features of the X-T4. Hence why I'm just holding on to this bad boy. I actually have two of them. One is filming me right now for the live stream. One is here. And yeah, I just love this camera. I don't really want to... It's too soon, personally, anyway. You right?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no. Chloe is here. She just wants to say hello.
I just finished my pigeon porn.
Oh.
I show you.
Oh my god, that's very erotic. Should we give one to the... Not give one, but should we... should we show one to the camera?
Yeah, this is hilarious. I took this earlier with the Viltrox.
So a pigeon's being mounted by another pigeon. They're having
sexy times.
It is spring, to be fair, so it's that time of year we can expect.
What I find hilarious, though, is like immediately after they mounted and then they finished the deed, this is their faces. This is like pigeon post-orgasm face.
They were like, yeah, we're good now. Do you want to like go for a cigarette or something? So, by the way, the context of that is relevant to the video, of course. It was shot on the almighty Viltrox 85mm 1.8.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful actually. You see this? See that depth of field?
Depth.
Depth of field. Very
Depth.
sexy. It's a fun lens to shoot with. This one's growing on me.
Do you think we should sell our Canon 135, or I'm putting you on the spot now on live YouTube right now?
I don't know. I mean, the 135 on the adapter is like, it's okay.
It's okay, but I think the autofocus is just too slow when you compare it to this one.
Yeah, this one, it just fits more naturally just because it's a native Fuji mount.
Yeah, the only thing that I have a gripe with is there's no aperturing.
That was the one downside.
Because as a Fuji shooter, I'm so used to having my hands on the aperturing and just changing it as muscle memory. So for it not to be there anymore was a bit like, shit, what do I do?
I gotta go pee.
Okay, you pee. So yeah, that was Chloe's little sample from the 85. Sorry for the interruption. Where are we now? Hvris, Muhammad Salim. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, brother? I have a dilemma. As a focal length, does the 35mm f2, would it be a nice lens as an all-rounder? I do have a 25mm, and I need to try this focal length, or shall I go directly for a 50mm f2? You know what? People say that a 50mm should be your first prime lens. And a 35mm in crop sensor land, when you convert it into full frame, is basically a 50mm field of view. So I'm gonna say go for the 35mm f2. Now, I got that lens because that's Chloe's favorite prime lens. I like to use the 23mm because it gives me a 35mm field of view in terms of full frame, and for me 35mm works really well for video and for photo. But if we're just talking about photography on its own, 50mm, so 35mm equals 50mm, that 35mm f2 would be a fantastic lens to have as your first lens if it's going to be for photos. And that's Chloe's favorite lens, right? Well, when I got you the 35mm f2, that was you loved it. You were using it every day.
Yeah.
So he's asking, he has a dilemma, 35mm f2 as an all-rounder, or should he go directly for the 50mm f2, which would be an 85mm, but I feel like that would be limiting if that's your only lens.
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 35, man, go f2. And plus, if you're going to be doing video, that f2 lens is built a bit better for video. The motors are not going to be as noisy. It's a lot faster and sharper. If you're doing an interview, it won't slip off the face too much. A bit of slipping, but not too much to get the angles correct.
Yeah, 50mm, I guess 85 equivalent, it would be a bit limiting unless you know that you're exclusively going to be shooting at a further range. But I find way more flexibility in terms of like the subject matter you shoot. So whether it is portrait or a landscape or architecture and all that fun stuff.
So yeah, Mr. Salim, I would say go for the 35mm f2. Depends what you're shooting, but as an all-rounder, I would maybe even stress 23mm, but I'm answering yes or no to 35mm. I'm gonna say go for the 35mm. RIP, oh that's you. RIP to all the camera companies this year.
Oh yeah, Bad Habit and I were chatting about the camera companies.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough time for camera companies right now, man. Like Fujifilm and all these, let's say Canon and Nikon, they all released their flagships because of the Olympics, and now they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board because next year.
I wonder though.
What?
Like, given all this like quarantine stuff and how you have to like stream or live stream like remotely and do things, like I wonder which companies are pushing that side of things, you know?
Well, I don't think a company is going to be pushing it right now because camera companies are mainly like hardware companies, essentially. Yeah. But I think there's going to be more favorable features towards live streaming. So, for example, better HDMI inputs. Because the micro HDMI right now, we had one and it snapped. And the rumor about HDMI inputs on Fujifilm cameras are terrible is true. Like, they are absolutely terrible. You literally just like touch it and the thing will just snap in half. It will just snap your HDMI cable in half. So definitely need to get better HDMI input cables. Just make it a lot easier, a lot more simple, a better functionality when it comes to doing live streaming, I think. Because these things are amazing. I would definitely want to try this on a Zoom call.
Oh man, what an upgrade.
Yeah, can you imagine a Zoom call with an X-T3? People are like, why do you look so cinematic?
I wonder though, like, was it recently SNL did like a SNL at home episode where everyone just kind of filmed from their homes using whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wonder, like, some of these like media people or celebrities and whatnot, like you would think that the companies or shows or producers would send them like, here's some hardware to maintain a standard quality across the different actors and stuff.
I think some people are a bit ignorant to video quality, like some of the corporate companies that I work for, they'll happily just take video on their mobile phone because it says 4K. They forget that lighting makes a difference. And then when you explain it to them that, hey, like, just because you have 4K on the phone as a description, the lighting isn't really necessarily going to not, have an impact. Well, guess what it does? Composition, lighting, and all these things actually matter more. And then it's my job to fix the video quality, which was a bit too noisy or a bit too messed up. And it's a lot of work. You're going to get some software to fix that. Audio cutting out. Oh, shit. I think that's Chloe audio cutting out, right? Because she kept walking up and down from the room. Hey, Hvris from Isaac from HK. Hey, man, how you doing? I remember you. For an upgrade from the 18 to 55 kit lens using XT3, would you suggest the Fuji 16 to 80 f4 for an all-round video shooting lens, or getting a Sigma 18 to 35 with an adapter? I'm just concerned about the lack of OIS because of the Sigma. For video, if you want an all-rounder, the 18 to 35 is it, man. You get 1.8 constant, and having that option is the reason why it's made it, for me, the best all-rounder, and why I use it for a lot of my video projects as well as my photo projects. And it's something, I think, bokeh's not everything when it comes to video shooting and photography, but when you need it, it's needed. And it really helps a lot. Especially, let's say you're shooting a wedding and then everything's going great all day. You're outside, the sun is shining, f4, everything looks tack sharp, it's beautiful. Then you're shooting because it's winter and the wedding is in winter, it gets darker like 3-4 o'clock. You are now inside, they're doing speeches, and you set up the camera, you're at f4. You're just gonna have to bump up to like above 6400 ISO. Now this is where you're gonna be kicking yourself and be like, well, I can definitely see them, but I just wish I had the lens on the camera which could probably reduce my ISO a bit more. And this is why the 18 to 35 was really going to help you, because at 1.8 you can really bring down the ISO and it's still a really good quality lens. I know with the adapter it's kind of a faff, but this is the only lens where I keep the adapter on it and it just stays on that lens. We tend to buy and sell Canon lenses a lot, but this thing it's never gonna go. Chloe describes it as a Lexus, and I have to say it's definitely a Lexus. Let's see what else we got here. Audio, yep, don't worry. Adalberto Torres, top 3 favorite picture taken. Oh my god. Oh man. Top 3. Okay. Well, I do have photos for sale, and when I put these photos for sale, the whole premise was these are my favorite photos, the best photos that I have taken for the past 3 years of me being a photographer. So I'm going to go on that site right now. I'm using Pixieset to sell the photos because of COVID-19. Man's not making any money. So me trying to put some photos for sale online. It helps me out, and you guys get a lovely print. I will be sure. Yeah, you get the gist. So I'm on the site right now, and I think there is a link to that as well in the description box in this video. At the top line it says print for sale from little as £2, blah 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 blah. H Weddings, which is my company. I shoot weddings. You can see there. If you want to go through it with me, I can show you. I think definitely number one is going to be Big Ben. That thing was actually taken on a Canon back in the day, but it was literally the timing of the day. I shot in HDR, so I managed to get everything in rich glory, the highlights, the shadows, and I managed to get the water smooth. So 3 things that you have to do all at once, and I managed to nail it, which was awesome. And I just cut out again, so I'm just going to repeat that. I managed to capture all 3 things all at once, having smooth water, the HDR as well, the highlights and shadows, captured it perfectly, and yeah, that is probably one of my favorite photos. Next up on the list, what else? If you go to from that photo, if you go 1, 2, 3 photos along, underneath H&M, there's one where there's golden light, and you have a little silhouette of a man. Oh man, that sounds like I'm singing Bohemian Rhapsody. There's a little silhouette of a man. That photo right there was taken just before I started my shift at work at 7 a.m. in the morning, and that's one of my absolute favorite photos. I think it was just purely because I couldn't be bothered to bring my camera out of my bag, but then I talked myself into doing it, and voila. And it's inspired a whole video on YouTube, which did really well on YouTube as well. So I'm really grateful for that photo. I'm really grateful for it turning out the way it did. And number two photo. I don't know, man. It's tough. My favorite photo, the third favorite photo. I say for now, probably St. Paul's. So next to Big Ben on the right hand side, the one at St. Paul's, I really, really like that one. That's definitely lately I've been using that as my phone background. Let me just show you. And the screen is locked. Ah, shitty. Give me 1 second. There we go. So as a locked screen, you can see that that's the one I'm using right now, and that's definitely one of my personal favorites. So number 1, Big Ben. Number 2, Oxford Circus in the morning, and definitely the one of St. Paul's. I'm really enjoying those ones. Okay. Would you recommend the Sigma 18-55 over the 23mm prime as an all-rounder? Let me just check that. Do you mean 18-35 or 18-55? Does Sigma do an 18-55? Oh yes, it does. It's a f2.8. As an all-rounder, it's kind of tough, man. I'm gonna say probably the Fuji 23mm f2, purely because of how small it is, and I have not used the Sigma 18-55. It just sounds a bit too many focal lengths in there. I think the reason why the 18-35 was probably a different category of its own is because it's not too many focal lengths, and it maintains all 3 of them, which would be the 18, the 23, and the 35. Those 3 focal lengths are done really, really well. I just cut out again. This is getting really frustrating. 1 minute, technical difficulty. I'm so sorry, guys. The reason why I kept cutting out was purely because there was a memory card in the camera, and when you press record when you're doing live stream, you're not meant to have a memory card in. Otherwise, when the memory card is full, it's just gonna keep cutting out and saying. Marr. So yeah. But we are good now. So back to the question of the Fujifilm and 23mm versus the 18-55. Oh, you do mean the 35mm. Okay. NL Lafim and Lafim. Lafim? Lafim. Ooh, okay. So now you've made the question even more difficult. 23mm f2 versus 18-35mm f1.8. Okay, so let's start with the basics. One is f2, one is 1.8. I like to use the 18-35 1.8 because just that little bit more depth of field. Not that anyone cares or notices it, but I do and I care, so that's one reason to go for it. I'm going to just give you a personal story and you'll take from it what you will. The 23mm f2 allowed me to get really good candid photos purely because of its size and it didn't look very serious. But at the same time, maintaining really high quality professional work. And the reason why I'm saying that is because for that, if it wasn't for that lens, my work wouldn't have changed. And it changed for the better because I was able to give myself accessibility to more candid shots, being less intrusive. My work is predominantly events and weddings, corporate events, weddings, being around people who are shy around the camera. This lens allowed me to get in and get great moments captured without being intrusive. So I'm going to have to give a lot of credit to that 23mm f2 because it doesn't look very serious at all, but it remains really high quality. However, the 18-35 being that extra but that extra little, click on the aperture ring, that little extra click on the aperture ring, given that 1.8, does help if you care about it, but it's a workhorse lens. I would say get the 23mm f2 first, open your doors, then get the 18-35. That could be one way of doing it. Or, alternatively, just wanted to make sure I'm still live here and nothing bad's happening. Alternatively, I would say perhaps get the 18-35mm. If you know you have work coming up, that's going to be that lens is really going to benefit you. Because the 23mm f2 is really cheap. It's around £200, I think. Brand new even. Let me just double check that. I just want to check and make sure that I'm not giving false advice here. So let's just look at Wix. Because Wix is what we use in the UK. It's like our equivalent of B&H. B&H photos. So we're looking at brand new. So, it's quite expensive. Damn, £399. We can get it used, because we got ours used for like £250 or something. And I was really happy about that. Okay, let's look at eBay. It's a good thing I checked, otherwise I might have just thought it was super cheap. So the 23mm f2 on eBay, you can definitely get it for like £300 to £50 secondhand, and typically lenses secondhand are absolutely fine to get. Let's look on eBay for the 18-35. Oh, someone's selling it for £325. And that's a similar price to the 23mm f2. So price is not really a factor anymore. And by the way, this listing I'm talking about only have 19 hours left. So it's not like there's a week to go and you're like, oh, by the time it gets to that week, it's going to add up like £200-300. It's not much is going to change now, let's be real. Especially now, no one's really buying much. So having said that, the two prices kind of being the same, depending on how you look at it. I would say you'd probably want to go for 23 if you want to have a bit more candidness with your work, and 18-35 if you know you're going to be doing professional work. It needs to be, what you're doing and what's happening. If you want to have fun and take it out about as well and have fun with your friends and keep it professional, 23mm opens up those doors for you. Sorry, that was too much rambling. I don't know why I spend so much bloody time on that bloody question. I guess it's important to me because those are two of my favorite lenses, so I don't want to mislead you, but I want to make sure that you get the best benefit from those lenses. You know, you really get that kind of emotional kind of satisfaction with those lenses. Because let's face it, when you get your heart and soul into photography, choosing lenses gets bloody emotional. I don't mean by like crying, I mean like you get stressed out about it. Like it's such an important decision when it really isn't that much of a big deal, but that's what happens. Okay. Amazing sky. Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Torres. Mr. Torres, thank you so much. And by the way, guys, the prints are for sale. There is a delay in delivery because of COVID-19, but if you pick up a print, they're starting from £2. It really helps me out in this time where income is not as good as it used to be, and you get a print from your boy. But yeah, just letting you know, link is in the description box up above. Next question. Have you ever tried the Blackmagic Pocket Camera 4K? Difficult to choose between the X-T3 and the X-T4. I have not tried it. However, let's put it this way. I've done my research and I was very tempted to buy one. I've even said it to Chloe many times, and we've gone back and forth about it. One of my closest friends is also a DP. He does a lot of Netflix shows for a lot of programs and series, like a lot of sci-fi series in Tunisia, but it's based in London, and he had a Blackmagic camera, a pocket camera as well. And that's what he was using to shoot a lot of his work. And before that, he was shooting the Sony. So he was shooting on a mirrorless camera and kind of jumped to the Blackmagic pocket system. So you can see that he definitely has knowledge in the mirrorless cameras and the Blackmagic system. And then we did a shoot together. Basically, 2 days before the lockdown, we shot in a fancy luxury hotel. We're doing one of their promo videos. And he was going to be doing basically what a DP does, overseeing everything, making sure the camera's operating, and I'm getting the right shots, the right settings, directing the show. And I told him, so look, we're going to use XT3s because I have like 2 of them, and I've got XT2 and an XT30, and we can definitely make this work. And he was like, always curious about the Fujifilm system, and he's always been following my work, and he knows that the quality that they can produce is really good too. So at the end of the shoot, I showed him the footage, edited it all together, showed him a few samples of the footage that we got, and he said to me, you know, you've been asking to me about the Blackmagic camera all the time. I will tell you that it's not worth the jump from an XT3. If you're going to jump from an XT3, get a proper video camera like a Red. Otherwise, stick with your XT3. Of course, they're in the similar price point, and you're going to get a bit more options in terms of like, you know, XLR cables, inputs, outputs. You know, you can really rig it up and really make this a video-centric beast. But for me, so don't forget, this is the context of me, your boy. I do photo and video too. And the quality shift between an X-T3 and a Blackmagic Pocket 4K, you can even look this up on reviews on YouTube, when all the YouTubers do these side-by-side comparisons. The person at the end who's going to be receiving the video is not going to notice the difference. They're not going to care. They're just going to care that everything's well shot, well composed. If you're going to deliver in 4K, great. They both can do it, so I'm going to be biased and say get an XT3 or XT4, especially if you're going to be doing photo only. I mean, not only, together. So yeah, you need to ask yourself, Fishing Productions, are you going to be doing a bit of photo too? Because don't forget, when you're going into a client and you're doing some video, they might turn to you and say, can we get some photos too? And this is an opportunity for you to shine. And you can say, well, if you pay me this much more, or, you know, we can arrange a fee later and discuss it later, but I will do photos for an extra fee, and they agree. You've just added more to your more revenue. You've added, you know, you've helped your business out there. You were able to adapt and change for a situation. Now, for me, I used to get pissed off when clients used to do that for me, but I realized, having known what I know now, and I can prepare myself already for typical situations to happen with clients, why can't I use that as an advantage? So being able to get some photos as well, if you're able to, why not? So that's what I'm gonna say, and that's how I'm gonna position it for you. So, but if you're thinking of doing like cinematic narrative filmmaking, they're probably the Blackmagic. Sorry, that's a very long-winded question, but I'm trying to like suss out all the different situations and trying to give you the different solutions for those different situations. So sorry if you guys, you lot are like listening and you're like, why is it talking about all the different subject matters? And he just keeps going on and on about it. It's because I'm trying to give a correct answer, the right solution for all the different situations. What's the difference between G-mount and X-mount lenses? Well, to be quite frank, who is Frank anyway? Who is this guy? Frank says, I'm joking. Bad Habit says G-mount, X-mount. So X-mount is basically your crop sense lens, crop lens, your cropped lenses. So they're tiny. They're like this. These are gonna be your cropped lenses. They're gonna be 1.5 crop when you actually convert them into full frame. These are the 1.2 kind of or 1.4 apertures. These are a tiny bit bigger, but the cropped lenses are those ones. The G mount. Wait, what G mount are we talking about? Are you talking about GFX or G mount? Sony G mount. You're talking about Sony G mount, aren't you? Sony G mount would be a lot bigger because it needs to accommodate for that full frame space. So when you have a glass which is already a lot bigger and then you can put it onto a smaller sensor, it fits automatically. But for example, a Fuji mount lens, if you were to put that onto like a GFX system, there's no way to convert it. You'd have to use half the sensor then and able to accommodate to be able to fit. So Fuji's method is that they make lenses built specifically for their crop sensored bodies, which is a lot more streamlined and it's a lot more beneficial that way, which makes the lenses a lot smaller, a lot more compact, and it's built for purpose. Where the Sony G mount is you kind of make it for the full frame, but then if you want to put in a crop sensor body, it will work. Canon does exactly the same thing with the EF mount lenses. You can definitely get the EF mount lenses and then put them onto the mirrorless one, the M series, I think. No, you need to get an adapter for that. For their crop body EF mount lenses, you can definitely get the EF mount and put it onto the crop bodies, and it works too. So it can definitely work, but I found that the Fuji's way of doing it works really well, and the fact that they've knuckled down on a niche, people are buying it and people are very happy with it. So yeah. Thanks for your previous answer. That's from Isaac from HK. How do you compensate for shorter focal length with Sigma? 18 to 35 for event, wedding, interviews. I don't want to be too close to people. Right. Shorter focal length. Well, definitely try and get a space which can allow you to have a bit more room to experiment. I know this might not be what you were thinking, but definitely get your own continuous light, because then you don't have to be subject to what the room will dictate. So let's say the window is on one corner of the room, but that corner of the room is like a headache. It's tight. It's not much space for you to kind of like set up. If you have your own light, you can say, actually, we can try this corner because I'm going to use my own artificial light, so it doesn't really matter too much, where we have to be. We can work around the room rather than work around the light, if that makes sense. So I would definitely think about that if you want to give yourself room. But then again, with weddings, you work with the venue and with what the venue has. And I think the 18 to 35, 18 mil is wide enough. it's going to be about 28 millimeters, which is plenty. If you shoot in HD, you get that you don't have any crop. And if you shoot in 25 frames per second, let me just double check that. So let's say we're shooting in 25 frames per second 4K. There's no crop. But if it's only when you go to 50 frames per second or 60 frames, there is a 1.18 crop, which is not going to do much for you. So your 35mm, as an example, is going to now turn into a 40mm. So I think you'll be fine. Maybe just definitely try to think about, where you're going to be shooting if you're going to be doing a corporate interview. And I'm kind of leaning towards a corporate interview because I do a lot of those and I've learned a lot. And trust me, I've learned a lot from those corporate interviews. I've had to keep changing the gear and accommodating and trying to find one solution that will definitely work in all situations because the location keeps changing. For weddings and stuff, man, the 18-35 is fine. I've never had an issue with that lens. It's never been too close. The 35mm and 50mm it's been great. Hi Ahmed. From Ahmed to Ahmed. Are you satisfied with sharpness and the autofocus of Fuji? Yes, I am. I am very, very satisfied. And I think previously I was shooting on a Canon and I was just kind of annoyed that the autofocus, especially in photos, kept slipping. It just always looked a bit fuzzy and I don't know why that kept happening. And then obviously the sharpness could have been a bit better. Despite it being full frame, there still wasn't enough separation. The funny thing with Fuji was that I got the 23mm f2 first, so it's an f2 lens, which in full frame world, your depth of field is now going to be like an f3.2. But I found the depth of field to be more obvious on the Fuji because the sharpness was just a lot nicer. The way it was organized and structured just made the subject pop out the background, even though the background wasn't as blurry, if that makes sense. And I think that has a lot to do with the way the sharpening is kind of processed. And also how the autofocus system works, because if you get an autofocus system which is grabs onto the subject, and then the image is tack sharp and a really good quality, you're on to a winner. So I was really, really happy with Fujifilm. I'm sure Canon's probably caught up by now, but I think my work has changed for the better because I'm able to capture moments a lot easier. I'm shooting in stealth mode. People think I'm shooting with a film camera, so I'm really, really happy with how things are going. Right. My goodness, it's been an hour and 20 minutes already. Bloody hell. And you guys are still here. I am shocked. I commend you people for sticking around for so long. Are you using filters on your Fuji? And if you do, which is your favorite filter type? So I don't use any filters apart from ND filters. Actually, that's a complete lie. I use UV filters on all my Fuji cameras. A lot of people, look, you're either someone that hates UV filters and say it's a scam, the glass on your actual lens is superior, it's indestructible, the UV filters will never save you, or you're in the camp of people, the camp of people who say, I've dropped my lens, and because I had a UV filter on, the UV filter broke, and now I'm able to still use my lens. Or you're kind of one of those people where I dropped my lens, it broke, I wish I had a UV filter protecting it. Now, I'm one of those people where I like to shoot spontaneously on the go because of of the nature of events. And what used to happen a lot of the time was I'd pick the camera up, I'm about to shoot, but the lens cap is still on. But you don't think the lens cap is still on. You think that maybe my shutter speed is like 1000, and that's why everything's so dark. So then you're like, oh crap, the lens cap is on. Let me get the lens cap. Oh, I have this lens cap. Where do I need to put it? I need to put it somewhere safe before I lose it. And then you're like, oh, should I put it in this pocket? Or wait, I don't have pockets. Oh, where is my bag? And then you're just like, it's a mess. So what I found was, UV filters on all my lenses and just forget about lens caps. So whenever I pick up the camera and I'm ready to shoot, I don't have to think about where's the lens cap or what do I need to do with the lens cap. The UV filter, I haven't noticed any difference. I've tried doing a comparison to see that does a UV filter enhance or destroy the quality of my photo. I couldn't see a difference, and if something does hit it, the lens is okay, and they're really cheap to replace compared to having to buy a brand new lens. So that's one type of filter that I use, and when I'm doing video, I use an ND filter. I use Gobe. They have variable ND filters. They're not the best on the market, they're not the most premium, but they're pretty damn good at what they do. They're like Nissan Micra. You can economy, but not too shit. Very good. So I like them. Decent company. They plant trees for every. Sounds like a sponsorship. I wish I was affiliated with that company, but I think it's cool that a company is saying that we'll plant a tree for every product that you buy. So yeah, that's one thing. So yeah, those are the two types of filters that I use. One ND filter and one UV filter. And the variable ones are great because I don't have to sit there and try and experiment and see like how would the exposure be now. Thank you. No problem, brother. Ahmed, no problem. Lee Lawrence, how you doing, man? How's life treating you? Quarantine going alright? Let me know. Isaac from HK, thank you. By the way, I have followed your advice from last video and ordered a small red cage today. Nice, man. Hopefully it works out for you. I hope you get a chance to use it in a real life situation soon. But yeah, you'll enjoy it. If you definitely like to shoot handheld, the cage just makes it feel a lot more buff, bigger. Like anything in life, me and Chloe were just cooking earlier today and we tried a cast iron skillet pan. And because of this pan is a lot heavier because it's made out of pure iron, it was a lot easier to handle. It wasn't like, you just had a bit more weight to it. So when you're kind of moving it and trying to cook with it, it's a lot more stable. So I know that's a really stupid thing, but it kind of made me realize that, oh yeah, having something that you can make heavier will really allow you to handle it better. You're not going to be kind of fidgeting or jittering it. But then again, when you want to make it lighter, you just take the cage off. So it's a really good way to have a versatile piece of kit. So yeah, good luck. Send me a message with how it goes and when you get it, and let me know if you find that it works for you. Interesting answer. Yeah, I know. It's not really what people probably expected when I say I use a filter. You probably think you probably thought I was gonna say, do you have one of those polarizing filters? But nah. But filters can put down the image of quality, no? No, I have not found it. I've done side-by-side comparisons. I have not seen an image being destroyed by a UV filter. However, I've only ever bought the premium UV filters. So, having said that, each UV filter costed me like £30. I know it's starting to border a bit expensive because when you have like 5-6 lenses, that can be quite a lot of money, but I use all these lenses all the time for the shoots that I do. And having to change lenses all the time and not have to think about the lens caps and trying to find the lens caps, it has saved me a lot of headache and saved me a lot of time. But I would definitely say that if you are going to look at UV filters, get the most expensive ones. I use the Revo by Hoya, but look, I don't do any affiliate links, probably at 2 on my channel. I don't do the whole Amazon affiliate link thing, so use whatever you have locally or whatever's good for you and look at other people's recommendation around where you are in the world. But all I'm going to say is to give you the best benefit for your work, get the most expensive one, because 9 times out of 10 you won't see any destructive kind of problems with your images when you use a UV filter. Gobe are good. That is true. I like Gobe. They're pretty damn good, man. Okay, dude, I'm in with my kids and wife trying to finish a fine art degree. Oh, man. Hey, you know what? That's actually not too bad. Trying to do a fine art degree during quarantine, because even when I did my art exam when I was 16, we had 10 hours to do one piece. So this is probably the best opportunity to do fine arts because art is I started off as a painter and a sketcher, and then my gripe with the whole thing was it took forever. Like, you try to do one piece of work, it will take you like 3-4 days. At least with photo editing, you can take the photo, come back, edit it, and it won't take 2 or 3 hours max if you really wanted to like perfect it and take your time on it. So but yeah, quarantine for a art degree doesn't sound too bad, man. Oh, but you're mainly doing photo and film. Still, more time on your hands, you could spend more time to perfect your art, man. And no worries. If you have any any suggestions of what you'd like to see with your XT3 or anything that I can help you with in terms of what content to make, because I feel like there's still a few loopholes with XT3s. A lot of people are making XT3 reviews or like tips and tricks, but there's still a few things that are missing on how you can still capitalize and get the most out of it. Because this camera, like, it's been out for ages now, and I still feel like I'm still learning something new about it. So even when the XT4 came out, I was still a bit like, man, there's still a lot to learn. What else have we got here? You use step-up rings so all lenses can share the same ND filter. Do you use a polarizer? I don't use a polarizer. The line of work that I'm doing doesn't really require it. I know polarizers are great if you want to get the glare off like water, but I'm not really going out taking pictures of nature or landscape, so for me polarizers are not something which is another thing to add to my arsenal. And my arsenal is getting pretty big now, and I'm finding it quite overwhelming kind of keep track of all these different things. But no, I tried a step-up ring, but then it kind of got annoying because if you lose that one step-up ring, you're kind of pissed. So I kind of took the time to invest and buy the right ND filter for the right lens, because then in that way, if I know I have a shoot and it's going to be outdoors and I need to make sure I have an ND filter, those lenses already have the ND filter on it, so there's no faffing about. You literally on the shoot, you minimize any type of time needed to set up, and I found that it saved me a lot of time, which saved me a lot of money. So it was a bit of a pricey investment, but I don't have to think about things now. I can just focus on my job. So yeah, it's probably not the answer you'd want to hear, but if it's too expensive, definitely get a step-up ring because they work really well. But for me, I just found it to be really annoying after a while, especially when you start having more than 5 lenses. It started to get quite annoying. Lee, thank you. Do you think there will be an XH2? I hope so. I am a sucker for a small top LCD screen. Grip is great also. It's a nice chunk to grab hold. Well, it depends what kind of chunk you like to hold, but yeah. There has been an interview that's been released by a Fujifilm representative saying that the XH line is not dead. It is alive, it is kicking, they're working on it, and there will definitely be an XH2. Now, what will the XH2 be? That is yet to be determined. I have a theory, and a lot of other people have a similar kind of theory where the XT4 was, in theory, taking what the XH2 was taking. It's got the IBIS, it's got the grip, which is not too big, video-centric, a bit more video-centric, so whatever we thought the XH2 was going to be, the XT4 kind of took that away. So what kind of void do we have left to fill with the XH2? Now I'm thinking that the XT4 is more of a general purpose camera. It's a bit more of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of camera. So in that theory, that would mean that the XH2 has to be the video-centric camera for Fujifilm. I hope that's the camera. What the fuck?
Just a sec.
Siri, I did not call for you. Bloody hell. Anyway, XH2, I have a strong inkling, suspicion. I could be totally wrong. I don't know anyone that works in Fujifilm I actually know one person who worked at Fujifilm, but even despite that, they were only sales assistant. I didn't have no connection to a marketing or anything, so I have no idea what the XH2 will be, but I'm hoping that it's a video-centric camera because I feel like Fujifilm can really capitalize on making something which is kind of like a GH5, you know, like something that is really strong, a proper HDMI output cable. You don't cut corners on video features, you jam it all into one. Have you made any short films? Ooh, short film, what is a short film, mate? Like, there's loads of short films out there. You can make a travel film, you can make a documentary. All jokes aside, I have made one travel film that I'm really proud of, and it's really short. It's cool. It's probably, I think I've made it the trailer to like my channel, which is A Taste of Auckland. I love that because I worked really hard on it for one, and I really try to make it something that I'm proud of. And whenever I watch it, it does remind me of when I went to Auckland with Chloe. And yeah, I really like that one, and I would say you should check it out and leave a comment down below and give it a like. That would definitely be quite cool. The other one is also a documentary. Well, kind of a documentary. It's with my friend who's an up-and-coming comedian. Well, not really up-and-coming anymore. He's up, man. He's flying high. My friend, the comedian, he has he did 4 shows in one night, and he called me up and said, "Hey, Hvris, I am doing 4 shows tonight in London. Would you like to come and shoot a vlog or like, you know, a little behind the scenes for this?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And I learned so much from that. And despite learning and wishing I could have executed it in a different way, I'm really proud of how it turned out, and it really shows what it was like being there, what it was like, the hustle and bustle of running between the different venues, what is it like to be a comedian, me kind of asking him a few questions, him giving me like chunks of knowledge, chunks of good information, and I feel like it's something I'm really proud of. So technically not a film, not a narrative, but definitely something I'm a short little like documentary, or I don't know, but a bit more of a serious piece. It's not like a talking head YouTube video and be like, "Today guys, we're going to be talking about this lens. This is a great little lens." So that was the Americans taking the mick out of a British person by a British person. So that was an inception of accents. I hope you enjoyed that little segment. I'm going to put a link for this right here. So if you want, check out that video. It's my friend K Kurd. He's a comedian, and I filmed his behind the scenes of him doing 4 shows in one night. Isaac from HK. People is moving, even just a bit. Oh, thanks for yesterday. It was my first time using the Helios 44 58mm f2 lens to shoot video interview. The bokeh is unique, but a bit hard to get the accurate focus. Manual focus from LCD, especially when the people is moving. Yeah, so I have the Mitakon 35mm f0.95, and it's a very similar situation. So if I do use this lens for interviews, I wouldn't put it at 0.95. I'll probably take it down to like f1 or 1.2, because that focal plane, that trying to get it in focus, it's really difficult. It's like, let's say we're doing an, you know, this is like an interview situation, and I just lean back because you asked me like a really deep, interesting question, and I'm like, oh, I have to think about this one, and you lose me, and you don't have a focus puller, and you're trying to run to the camera and trying to move it. It's a mess. You rather just set it up and leave it to do what it needs to do, or you have 2 cameras. So this will be your A camera. It has autofocus, it's reliable. Or you put an f4 and it's reliable, and whatever the subject does back or forth, you will be absolutely fine. This is going to be your B camera. This is going to be the one where you can experiment with artsy shots. And when it comes to editing, you're going to have options between A and B. So then the production looks higher as well. So that's something to consider. Now, I don't know if you have more than one camera body, but That's just something to think for a future in the long term, you know, in the future. Definitely try to set your camera up for focus peaking. So you have the red line. Well, it can be red lines, yellow lines, blue lines. I've set mine to red lines. Definitely have, let me just try and find it in the settings. So you would go to here, settings, user settings, buttons and settings, manual AF, I think it's there. I'm not going to find it right now because it's in the video settings. But yeah, you definitely want to go to your camera settings, turn on focus peaking, look for the red lines, make sure it's in the eyes, not the nose. You don't want to get the beak in focus, you want to get the eyes in focus. Because the eyes is where the soul is, and you enter the soul through the eyes. Also look at the hair. So if someone, you know, sometimes you can't see the eyes, and this is why people use external monitors, even though they don't need one. But it's to do with manual focus, to make sure that you can actually see what's in focus, because hair being in focus, as opposed to being the nose being in focus when you're doing something with such a high aperture, there's a lot going on. So I definitely recommend maybe getting an external monitor. But I think focus peaking should do the trick. Now, your lens is at f2. So it's not 0.95. So you should find it a lot easier. I think it should be a lot easier. Definitely try to get the eyes in focus, because I found that you could easily focus on, let's say, the nose or the eyes. And definitely you want to go for the eyes. And when you focus on the eyes, the focus peaking will outline the head. And then when you focus on, let's say, the mouth, let's say I had focus peaking on myself, my beard would be focused. You'll see all those little pixels here on my beard. That would be like covered in red dots. But you would want the outline of the head, so the eyes would the eyelids would be in focus too. Then you'd know you're in focus. But then again, maybe bring it down to f4. And just make sure that there's enough background for there to be background blur anyways. So there's many different solutions. I've given you like 3 solutions. Number 1, you know, have 2 cameras. Number 2, get focus peaking or get an external monitor. And number 3, just bring down the aperture. You don't have to be at f2 if you don't need to be at f2. So I hope that helps. Charles Adesanya, my guy. How you doing, man? Bro, I texted you. You need to reply to my text message. Are you back from Hong Kong or not? To be fair, I think you just woke up. So that would mean you're still in Hong Kong. So yeah. We have been live streaming for 1 hour and 37 minutes. It has been a long time. Is there any more questions, guys? Do anyone have any more questions for your guy? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to feel a bit tired now. But I really, really enjoyed this. I would love to do a lot more of these. Maybe another one. Maybe Thursday, Friday. I don't know what's going on. I've got a few projects to finish off. So currently I'm doing a free video for a hotel because I want to up my portfolio. So this is something I've shot a couple of weeks ago. And it's for free because I want it to be good on my portfolio. And I think now is a great time to focus on any projects that you were thinking of doing for free but you didn't have time for. So I think I'll be doing that throughout this week. And if any way I could try and show that to you guys, it would be great to do that. Isaac, no problem, man. Sorry it was a bit of a long-winded question, but I get really passionate about these topics because I spent so long trying to figure out the answer and had to fail 100 times. But hopefully this can save you a world of a headache, because for me it was quite a headache. Lennon, what do you think of the 90mm f2 for wedding films? Right, so that lens seems to be pretty damn good. The autofocus on it is really, really good. So I'm imagining if you can put it on a tripod, it'll be a really good lens for video. Handheld, it'll be a bit tricky. I've got the 85mm by Viltrox. So we're looking at a very similar lens. And to do handheld video with this, it takes a lot of practice. I'm not gonna say that it's possible if you haven't practiced handheld video. You need to practice this quite a lot. You need to make sure that you've got used to it. I have a playlist for handheld video, absolutely free. Go on my YouTube channel, look at my playlists, handheld video tutorial, all there, ready to go. Teach, learn, figure it out. Otherwise, use a tripod. But if you can do it, man, the results are worth it. Let's say you're shooting a wedding, you have your 35mm, your 50mm, your wide angle, but then you throw in these 90mm shots, which are basically 135mm. It just ups the game, and especially at f2. You just have beautiful depth of field, so you have like a nice wide shot of the couple, they're walking down the aisle, and then you have this 90mm of them, or like the bride staring at the groom in his eyes. It just looks fantastic, so yeah. If you can definitely do it for video, man, do it. And I know I said the autofocus is really good, but I would still autofocus on the face, then lock it off to manual focus, because with that long range, a slight movement could easily take someone off frame. So right now I'm using a 23mm f2 to shoot this live stream. And if I kind of move side to side, I'm okay. You know, I'm still in the frame. But if it was a 90mm and, you know, this box is going to be really tight. And as soon as I move to the side, I would have been off. And if I come back in, the autofocus is just going to struggle and you might get a bit of pulsing. So even with the best autofocus lenses, even if it's a long, you know, telephoto lens, I would still recommend to manually focus it when you're doing video. I hope that answers your question, man. Right, guys. I think I'm at a good stopping point. My mouth is getting kind of dry and I don't want to give you guys an unpleasant experience. But I hope this live stream is a lot better than before. Chloe and I did make sure we spent a good 15-20 minutes testing out the video and everything to make sure that everything worked out quite well. Oh, a few more questions. Lennon said, great, cheers, great work with the channel, look forward to seeing more videos. Yeah, man, thank you for checking it out. I really appreciate you guys subscribing and gaining knowledge and finding that this channel is really helpful. Bad habit. How many setups did you use to record the comedy film? Ooh. Bro, I think I have a video explaining how I shot it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to link it now. Long story short, I basically had 2 XT3s. And one was handheld and one was on a tripod. And I did that throughout the whole thing. And this video, oh, sorry about that. So yeah, long story short, 1 camera on the tripod and 1 camera handheld, and that was my method for shooting it, because you want to keep handheld because a lot of things spontaneously happen, so you need to be nimble and make sure the camera's ready to go. And 1 was on a tripod for all the performances, because once he's on stage, he ain't going anywhere. So not much to worry about. Let me just put this in the chat. But yeah, watch that video. Give me a comment, give me some feedback if there's anything I missed on it. Yeah. Okay, guys, so we have talked about a lot of things about Fujifilm today. Lots of Fujifilm chill today. Very good, very good. Just to remind you all that I am selling prints due to COVID-19. They are available for sale in the description box of this live stream. H Weddings is my wedding company, so go there, check out the prints. They start from £2. It'll help me out. Be aware that because of COVID-19, there is a delay in delivery. Typically, I'm using a third-party company, so typically they estimate 10 days for shipping. There is a slight delay. Probably not slight, probably quite a big delay, because it is what it is. The situation isn't pretty out there, so I'm gonna have to just position that. And but if you do order one and you're kind of wondering what's going on, just email me and I'll share with you what they're saying with me. But you will definitely get your prints. It's a very good, reliable service. Thank you so much, guys, for checking out this live stream. It was a really good fun, really good opportunity to communicate and have great discussions. And yeah, I will peace out for now, and we'll definitely catch up later this week, guys. So I'm going to wave and say goodbye, and look after yourselves. Take great photos. Keep practicing. If you have any questions, anything that's kind of like, you watch this live stream and I've said something and now you're kind of like, what did he mean by that? Or that just changed what I was thinking. Just DM me on Instagram. Don't worry. I like to reply. I like to be helpful. I like to try my best to help people. So, yeah. We'll catch up soon, and take care of yourself. Buy a print. Much appreciated. Much love. Goodbye.